Whispering Garden of Lost Names. Once upon a time, in a forgotten corner of the world, there lay a garden unlike any other. It was a place where the air hummed with secrets, where flowers bloomed in colors no one had ever named, and where the very earth seemed to breathe with a life of its own. This was the Whispering Garden of Lost Names, a mystical place where the forgotten and the forsaken found solace. It was said that every flower, every tree, and every blade of grass in the garden held the memory of a name that had been lost to time. Names of people, places, and things that had once been cherished but were now forgotten. The garden was hidden behind a towering wall of ivy, its entrance marked by an ancient stone archway covered in moss. Few knew of its existence, and even fewer dared to enter. Those who did spoke of a strange, haunting beauty, a beauty that was both comforting and unsettling. They spoke of whispers that seemed to come from the very air, voices that called out names no one could remember. But no one ever stayed long in the garden, for it was a place that stirred the soul in ways that were hard to bear. One day, a young girl named Lila arrived at the garden. She was not like the others who had come before her. Lila was a dreamer, a wanderer, with a heart full of curiosity and a mind full of questions. She had heard tales of the Whispering Garden from her grandmother, who had spoken of it in hushed tones, as if it were a secret too precious to share. Her grandmother had told her that the garden was a place of healing, a place where lost things could be found again. And so, Lila had set out to find it, driven by a longing she could not name. When Lila stepped through the stone archway, she felt a change in the air. It was as if the garden had been waiting for her. The flowers swayed gently in the breeze, their petals glowing with an inner light. The trees whispered softly, their leaves rustling with secrets, and the air was filled with the faint, melodic hum of voices, voices that seemed to call out to her. Lila walked deeper into the garden, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. She felt as though she were stepping into a dream, a place where the rules of the world no longer applied. As she walked, she noticed that each flower, each tree, and each blade of grass seemed to have a story to tell. She reached out to touch a flower, its petals a deep, shimmering blue, and as her fingers brushed against it, a vision filled her mind. She saw a young boy, no older than herself, running through a field of golden wheat. He was laughing, his face filled with joy, but as quickly as the vision came, it faded, leaving Lila with a sense of longing. She looked at the flower and realized that it held the memory of the boy's name, a name that had been lost to time. Lila continued to explore the garden, each step revealing new wonders. She came across a tree with silver leaves that tinkled like bells in the wind. When she touched its bark, she saw a vision of an old woman sitting by a fireplace, knitting a scarf. The woman's face was kind, her eyes filled with love. Again the vision faded, leaving Lila with a sense of warmth and comfort. As she walked, Lila began to understand the true nature of the garden. It was a place where memories lived on, even when the world had forgotten them. It was a place where the lost could be found, where the forgotten could be remembered. And she realized that the whispers she heard were the voices of those memories, calling out to be heard. But the garden was not without its challenges. As Lila ventured deeper, she began to feel a growing sense of unease. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, and the visions became more intense. She saw moments of joy and sorrow, love and loss, life and death. Each vision left her breathless, her heart aching with emotions she could not fully understand. At last, Lila came to the heart of the garden. There, In the center of a clearing stood a tree unlike any she had ever seen. Its trunk was gnarled and twisted, its branches reaching out like arms. Its leaves were a deep, shimmering green, and its flowers glowed with a soft, golden light. At the base of the tree was a small stone pedestal, and on the pedestal rested a book. The book was old, its cover worn and faded. Lila approached it slowly, her heart pounding in her chest. She reached out and opened the book, and as she did, a wave of warmth washed over her. The pages were filled with names of people, places, and things that had been lost to time. And as she read each name, she felt a connection to the memory it held. Lila realized that the book was the heart of the garden, the keeper of all the lost names. It was a place where the forgotten could be remembered, where the lost could be found. And she knew that she had been brought here for a reason. As she stood by the tree, a soft voice spoke behind her. "You have found the heart of the garden." Lila turned to see a figure standing behind her. It was a woman, tall and graceful, with hair that shimmered like moonlight and eyes that glowed with the colors of the garden. She was dressed in flowing robes that seemed to be woven from the very fabric of the garden, and in her hands she held a staff adorned with a glowing crystal. "Who are you?" Lila asked, her voice trembling. "I am Seraphina, the guardian of the Whispering Garden," the woman replied. "I watch over the memories that dwell here, ensuring that they are never truly lost. Few mortals find their way here. What brings you to the garden, child?" Lila hesitated, then spoke from her heart. "I've been searching for something my whole life. I don't know what it is, but I feel like it's here. I want to find the lost names, the forgotten memories. I want to remember." Seraphina smiled gently. "The garden can show you the way, but it cannot give you what you seek. That is something you must find within yourself. The garden is a guide, a mirror of your soul. It will show you your memories, your fears, and your truths. But it is up to you to take the next step." Lila nodded, though she did not fully understand. "Will you help me?" Seraphina extended her hand. "Come, walk with me, and I will show you the magic of the garden." Together, they walked through the garden, the whispers growing louder with each step. Seraphina explained the mysteries of the garden, how it held the memories of all that had been lost, and how it was a place of healing and renewal. She told Lila of the Book of Lost Names, and how it was the heart of the garden, the keeper of all its secrets. As they walked, Lila felt a growing sense of peace. She realized that the garden was not just a place of memories, but a place of hope. It was a reminder that nothing was ever truly lost, that every name, every memory had a place in the world. At last, they returned to the heart of the garden, where the ancient tree stood. Seraphina turned to Lila and said, "You have found what you were searching for. The garden has shown you the way. Now it is up to you to carry its magic with you, to remember the lost names and the forgotten memories." Lila nodded, her heart full. She knew her journey was not over, but she also knew she was no longer alone. She had found the garden, and in doing so, she had found herself. And so, Lila left the Whispering Garden of Lost Names, carrying its magic with her. She traveled the world, sharing the stories of the lost names and the forgotten memories. And though she never returned to the garden, she carried its whispers with her always, a reminder that nothing was ever truly lost. And so, the Whispering Garden continued to thrive, its flowers blooming with the memories of the lost, its trees whispering the secrets of the forgotten. And somewhere, in the heart of the garden, Seraphina watched over the Book of Lost Names, ensuring that they would never be forgotten. The end.